clickbait title: how to make thousands of dollars in your car without having to drive for Uber. An entrepreneur joins a business, an entrepreneur creates a business, and a solopreneur is a business. And if you're a solo pro, then you are your business. And so who you are and the energy that you project is absolutely critical to your success. And one of the problems that almost every solo pro wrestles with early or even quite an extended period into their career is the weird ickiness of listening to or watching yourself. And the problem is that if you are your brand, if you are your business, you kind of got to get used to watching yourself and listening to yourself, because otherwise you're never going to put your stuff out on social media or anywhere else in the world where your potential clients are going to find you. So I have a little trick for you to help you get over it, because there's really no other option, okay? You just have to get over it. The trick is this: you listen to yourself in the car. Okay, so get an assistant if you can, or do it yourself. Just get audio from sessions you've delivered, speeches you've given, coaching sessions even on Zoom that you've recorded, anywhere that you're talking and delivering value through your business. Get it recorded and then put it on your phone, right? Now you can do it a really sophisticated way. Gino does it for me. He makes a private podcast feed. There's a podcast that exists in this world that literally I am the only listener. I'm also the star. But you can just have MP3 files or whatever saved on your phone, whatever. What I want is so that every time you drive your car, you can listen to yourself delivering. And there's 3 amazing benefits that you can get from this. Number 1, you just get over the weirdness of listening to yourself, right? Because you sound different from inside than you do from outside. But nobody else thinks you sound weird, because that's how you actually sound. And you just got to get used to it. So it's like exposure therapy. You know how people who are scared of snakes, they like show them a piece of rope first, and then they show them a fake snake, and then they show them a real snake, but it's dead. And then they show them a real snake and it's alive from 10 meters, and then 5 meters, and then 3 meters, and then they touch it. And eventually, through exposure therapy, you just get over it. So that's the first benefit. Just listen to a few hours of yourself talking, and you'll eventually get over the fact that if, like me, you sound like a bit of a bogan. You'll get used to it. The second benefit is that you can actually improve your delivery simply by becoming aware of the parts of it that aren't as good as it could be. So, for example, you might be listening to yourself offer a really insightful point in a presentation or a coaching session or whatever it might be, and you realize that you deliver the point and then kind of trample it straight away. You say too much too quickly. And if you hear that back, you might realize, when I say something insightful, it might be useful to just pause. And then your delivery improves. So that's the second benefit. The third benefit is, if you're anything like me, and I'm sure that this is a spectrum, but very few people, this is a spectrum of you only ever have good ideas when you're talking, or you only ever have good ideas when you're sitting alone in an ivory tower. There are very few people who only have good ideas alone in an ivory tower. Even if you do have good ideas alone in an ivory tower, I reckon you're on a spectrum where a lot of your good ideas come in response to external stimulus. Essentially, you're in conversation with other people. They make points, they ask questions, and you deliver genius in response. And then you forget. And it drifts down the genius river until someone else at a port downstream scoops up that genius and claims it for themselves. I reckon you've shared and said and imagined thousands of incredibly valuable ideas and then forgotten them shortly afterwards. But a lot of what you say these days can easily be recorded, right? You can have a recorder running on your computer 24/7 if you want, and every time you say something clever, you just click and save it. The one I use on Mac is called Backtrack. It's really simple, it's really good. And most of your sessions on Zoom will be recorded. If ever you give a presentation, it should definitely be recorded, even if it's just your phone in the back of the room. But the point is, when you're listening to it back in the car, it's not uncommon to hear yourself say something that you think is pretty darn insightful. You're like, look at that. That was pretty good. I'm impressed. I'm pretty clever. And what you do is you capture that genius Now, if you're in the car, you're going to have to get used to recording voice memos or dictating or whatever. You need some way of going, whoa, that was a really good point. That should get captured in my second brain, right? We'll talk about that another day. I need to capture that in my second brain and store it, because that's a really valuable insight that I can build into my business and help my clients with in future. So, get your recordings, stick them on your phone, listen to them in the car. You'll get over yourself through exposure therapy. You'll get better at speaking and delivering your expertise, and you'll capture expertise that you never realized that you had. It's magic.